So this unit is called Second Chance, and it is being logged by J.M. Browning Logging on Agency Creek Management's land, affiliate of Hampton Forest. And it's a smaller unit, but what made it tricky was that on 3 sides it's bordered by 2 small fish streams and a medium fish stream that all flow into Big Creek, which is a large fish-bearing stream, and the landowner, the foresters that laid it out, had left the full intact buffers required under the Forest Practices Act. So the small fish-bearing streams have a 50-foot buffer, no touch on either side of the stream, and the medium has a 70-foot buffer.
It's a big challenge to make sure you're not getting any turbidity into the creek. You know, you want to make sure you're staying away from it. You're not crashing trees through the buffers.
Months prior to him even starting this job, he was already thinking about it, planning it, walking it, really figuring out how am I going to log this to be efficient and safe and productive.
You know, typically we get in those situations, we like to suspend that skyline completely up and over.
And he said, I think I'm going to bring my big yarder out for it.
So when he started talking about, you know, investing money back into this yarder and then getting it into service, you know, I was thinking, boy, that's the, you know, this might be my only opportunity to log that particular piece of timber and protect all the resources which surround it.
I would come up here and I'd just stand on the landing and just look, you know, what are we going to do? And my youngest son was up and he goes, Dad, what if you put the yarder up on that stub? I'm like, you know, that's not a bad idea.
By moving the yarder up on the hill, it also gave 40 more feet of lift, which was going to lift the skyline, which was going to allow the logs to be higher in the air, less likely to damage the riparian management areas, the stream buffers.
I probably put in good 140 hours with the backhoe just getting things ready for the yarder.
The 739 is one of the biggest Skagit's made. It's got big drum capacity and a lot of power. And you know, this is a skyline that's 4,800 feet to the back end.
And first thing I did was punch this road down here. We spent 3 days rocking this road. Well, getting the yarder in here took 3 days to go about 1,000 feet. We finally got that in. Okay, we got a couple challenges taken care of. Then it's time to string the road line. The drone saved two and a half days of man hours to go from the landing all the way to the back end.
Another resource that required protection in this sale was the reprod. That's a younger forest that's approximately 22 years old. And so we needed to be careful that the logs didn't damage those trees by breaking out the tops or sidewashing, which is kind of taking the limbs off one side of the tree.
You know, the challenge for the logger is how is he going to protect those trees?
And how they were able to protect those trees was by having designated corridors, a well thought out logging plan, and deciding that they were, okay, this is the bearing we're going to follow, and this is where the skyline's going to go. So we're going to cut these corridors out. And they did that. They minimized the width of the corridor.
We knew the philosophy of the job was to try to buck as much as we could so they could fully suspend as much as they could through that reprod.
They've put a shovel down one of the yarding corridors into the 18 acres, and they're swinging the logs to central yarding corridors to minimize the total number of corridors. The benefit of that will be, protecting as much of that young timber as possible.
Typically, we'd tree length some of this. We had to buck a lot of it because we wanted to get the logs totally suspended.
Several veteran timber fallers that worked for me, without them, this couldn't have gotten done.
It takes all of Jay's 50 years of logging experience and the cutting edge technology to pull off a job like this to make it safe and efficient and profitable.
I'm honestly grateful that he took it on. I'm absolutely delighted.